Welcome everyone to the Board of Commissioners meeting. Before we start the meeting, we have some recognitions to do. The Walton Youth Advocacy Board board provided the Board of Commissioners a meal, and I'd like to thank Tisha Finn. And Tisha, you have anything you want to say about your organization?
Sure, if I may.
Feel free.
Thank you. We'll go quickly. So I am Tisha with the Walton Youth Project. I've brought a few of my board members here. We have Zymeria Gaither, who's a sophomore at Monroe area. She's on our executive committee. We have Bella Bradford, also from Monroe area, who's a senior, and she is planning to study nursing next year at Piedmont. We have Graham Finn over there. He is our alumni director. He is in 2 months going to graduate from University of Georgia in biological engineering. He's a George Walton alum. So we just wanted to spend a few minutes tonight telling you what we do, and that is fund youth-driven initiatives in Walton County. We recruit a board of 30 high schoolers from every school, homeschool, private, public, throughout the county, and then they decide what they want to work on that year. We find funding. We don't take any state or federal funding. It's all foundational funding. We do receive a stipend from Board of Commissioners for my salary, but that is it. And then the rest of it, they have to find it on their own to get their stuff done. I'm going to go through quickly and show you a few things and have Zy and Bella and Graham tell you a little bit about it. So this is our board this year, a picture of all those kids from all over. This is two of our... I am not going to play those. Miss Rhonda Hawk has a link to this presentation though, and you're welcome to look through that at home. We do have an adult governing board that advises the teens, and so that's made up of 12 members of our community, and that's 2 of them who are talking about some of the things we've been working on. We have been asked to speak at 3 different regional conferences for youth leadership, and those are all listed here. We've gone for mental health, we've done bullying prevention, we've done suicide prevention, binge drinking, just really anything that the kids bring to us, and we figure out a way to make it happen.
I told him I play.
We captured the development.
I'm so sorry, let me stop that.
I play football.
We captured the development of a youth.
You can tell that this is not my computer.
I told him I play football.
Pause, don't go away. So that's TJ Lockett from Loganville Christian, and I'm going to throw to Graham because this Walton Wise initiative was something that Graham came up with. Were you in college yet, Graham, or still at high school?
I was in college.
In college. So WISE stands for Wellness, Ingenuity, Science, and Engineering. It's been a huge way that we've brought STEM and STEAM into Walton County. Graham's been working with that for 6 years now. So tell him a little bit about that, Graham.
So Walton Wise, as Seth said, wellness, ingenuity, which is more kind of like closer to agriculture, like homesteading. Our contact, Meredith, has a homestead, and it's more practical skills, kind of similar to home ec. Science, everyone knows about. Engineering, everyone knows about. Kind of the impetus of WISE was to be a little bit more pragmatic than conventional STEAM curriculum, where it's like you can do a lot of stuff in your own home or have actual skills. Like one of my favorite ones was preserving, making preserves like either kimchi or just hearts and strawberries and making jam out of it. So I focused on the ingenuity and engineering the most. What I talked about specifically was I taught them vermicomposting. So like if you have a garden, you know you can use worms to break down kitchen scratch to make fertilizer. It's all sustainable, it's all very intuitive, it's all very practical, is the WISE initiative.
Thank you.
We captured the development of a.
This is our WYP News. I'll let you listen to Savannah Coward at home if you'd like. We presented at City Council. Commissioners, you all have a copy of our newspaper. This is a youth-led newspaper. I have extra copies for you all. We're on our 3rd edition. We are publishing youth-related articles, also reading material. We're partnering with John Howard, our Monroe mayor, to get some literacy initiatives out there. And so that's our newspaper. Anyone in the county, any student can contribute either artwork or an article. And skip into the next one. Again, Sorry about my clumsiness with this presentation. Okay, hold on. There. We have also put in the Wayne Street Alley Garden. Have y'all seen our dumpsters we've painted across from La Gabrielle? So we've painted dumpsters. We're putting in some agriculture there. Graham and his group are helping with that. We have the Monroe Teen Council, which is our literacy arm. That's with Mayor Howard, Dessa Morris, Stacy Brown from the library. Zai's going to talk about that because that is where, that's a specifically Monroe-related teen group. Come on up, Zai. You just had a meeting this week. I know you're a little nervous, but what did you guys talk about at your meeting?
So at our meeting, we talked about our lip sync battle that we're gonna do, and Bella's gonna talk to you about that. You know, we was talking about what can we do in the community to help the kids want to read more. Like we was talking about festivals, maybe like giving out books, going to their school and dressing up like as their favorite character. And yeah, like we just want to have them more engaged into reading because within now, our literacy rate is very low. Because as we see, the more they grow up, they're like, they don't want to read. So we're trying to bring them like back into literacy.
Awesome. Good work. Okay. Next is, I wanted to make sure, I don't know where my presentation went, if someone can help me. I don't know, it just I see it, but Bella, the mouse isn't working. I can talk without it though. Graham and Mayor Howard and Dessa Morris from Development Authority are speaking at Commissioner Dixon's alma mater down at Georgia Tech this week on Friday. And thank you, and they are going, there it is. We got chosen from many submissions to present at this event. It is Cultivating Curiosity from Classroom to Community. Graham, I know they want to get their meeting started. Can you quickly tell us, we have a huge board assembled that's going to be at that conference. What are you guys going to talk about?
What we're going to talk about is how to bring STEM curriculum specifically to schools like as I'm here to talk about a little bit. We have very low literacy, well, not very low. We have problems with literacy. We have a couple of schools at the district that are Title I. We are specifically trying to make STEM, specifically lab sciences, accessible to middle and high schools around here.
Thank you, Graham. See? Awesome. Pause that. So Bella is now going to talk to you about our lip sync battle, and we're really hoping to recruit some of you to perform.
We are hosting the lip sync battle here at Monroe area. We're bringing it back from the 90s this year, and we're definitely looking for more teams and more people to want to come and perform, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a lip sync battle. So you'll have music playing behind, you can sing, dance, whatever y'all come up with or whatever y'all want to do. And all of the proceeds from the ticket sales will go back to the school in Monroe area. We're holding it in their auditorium. And each team or group that performs, their money that they raise for votes that they get will go to whatever charity or foundation of their choice. So it's just a good way to put money back into the community and a good opportunity to raise it, and I guess just like a fun family night for y'all to go to.
Did anyone attend Putting on the Hits in the 90s? Apparently it was wrapped, okay, so apparently Commissioner Dixon can vouch for us. It was wrapped around the old Monroe High School gym and was quite a big deal. Yeah.
I think he just volunteered. No.
See? And that brings us to the end of it. I'd love to take time, if we have it, for you guys to ask questions of our panel if you'd like. There's many ways to get involved with us. We're always looking for opportunities to serve the community and super grateful to have been here tonight.
Does anyone have any questions? They would appreciate one or two. We'll take the time if.
I'd like to make a comment. I think what y'all do is great. Y'all do a lot in the community. I say that because my daughter is actually involved, and I sort of get like a front row view of what all happens, and just the interaction of what y'all do is great. And bringing up the children and doing what y'all do, it's like it teaches them to serve, and you spend a lot of time on children, therefore we spend a lot less money on adults.
Thank you, Commissioner Bradford, and we'd love to have you, Bella. Thank you so much.
And thank you for the meal you brought us.
Yes, thank you very much.
That was Walton County Healthcare Foundation funding that bought that for you also.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Melissa Rush, we have a couple retirees that, John, you're going to handle that?
Thank you. Is Mr. Maurice Hubbard here? Okay. Just to share with everybody, you might not have been here before, but we recognize our employees upon their retirement. Congratulate them and do this in a public setting as opposed to just once a year at our annual picnic. Mr. Hubbard works with Keep Walton Beautiful. He was originally hired in 2008 as a senior equipment operator at Public Works, and then he transferred to the recycling technician position. So he will be retiring, or has retired, on February 14th of 2025. So I'd like to thank him for his service to Walton County. And now Mr. Doug Brown. If you'll come on up, please. Doug started as a temporary firefighter in 2002 and then went full-time. 2008, he was promoted to fire lieutenant. 2018, promoted to fire training officer. And then in 2019, reclassified as a fire training officer battalion chief. And his retirement date will be 3/11. We're going to miss you, sir.
Thank you, John. John Allman, you've got some recognitions that you want to, achievements, recognition of achievements.
Yes, sir. Good evening. We appreciate this opportunity to recognize two of our own and their recent accomplishments. We're going to kick it off with Miss Tara Gutierrez right here. Tara began her career with Public Works 14 years ago as one of our admin assistants and quickly earned the current position of office manager. Some of her main responsibilities as office manager for Public Works is assisting in preparation of budgets, record keeping for 5 Public Works divisions, keeping payroll and personnel records, and doing payroll for over 80 employees. She helps with contracts and procurement for infrastructure projects. She does government grants, handles our gov deals, does customer service for the citizens, and so much more. So we really appreciate the job she does. But she joined the American Public Works Association in 2021 to further her career in Public Works. And this January, she received her advanced certificate of Public Works Management at the winter conference at the University of Georgia this year. So if you would, please help us congratulate her. Next, we have Tyler Pannell. Tyler, he has worked for Public Works for 20 years. He started, I think, before he even graduated high school with Walton County Public Works. He received his advanced certificate of Public Works in 2015. He's currently holds the manager of Stormwater Division for Public Works, and they do a great job. He was nominated and voted on the board of the American Public Works Association, and while on the board, he has served as director for 7 years, vice president for 1 year, president-elect for 2 years. He has served on several committees as well as being the long-term chairman of the Young Professionals Committee for the APWA. Some of his biggest accomplishments, it was being an integral part of last year's PWX, which is the National Public Works Conference that was held in Atlanta, Georgia, the first time in 2 decades. He accepted the gavel at the winter conference. He was elected president of the Georgia chapter of the American Public Works Association, accepted the gavel at the University of Georgia and gavelled in this winter session. He'll be overseeing the summer conference at Jekyll Island this year, and then he'll be traveling to Chicago, Illinois to represent the state of Georgia as in the National Public Works Conference. So we're really proud of him. He's done an amazing job, and he just keeps climbing that ladder. So help us congratulate him. Can they get a picture with y'all?
Good job, guys.
Gotta lift it up there.
There you go.
Good job, Todd.
Great job. Rather than sitting down and standing up, would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, thank you so much for this day, and please be with us tonight and watch over us and help us to make the best decisions that we can and the right decisions for the county. Please be with everyone here and watch over us all and keep us safe as we go home tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, I will now officially call our meeting to order. And roll call, we have one commissioner absent, Commissioner Adams. And you have the agenda before you. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? If not, I entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda's adopted. All right, John, you're up again for your update, manager's report, please.
Okay, I'm going to cover some things from the departments and then some projects, and I've got an update on the 4-H shooting sports. Our first one, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that it was certified, and Tommy Knight, our chief appraiser for Walton County, acknowledged that all the county and all cities have opted out of House Bill 581 moving forward, and all of that material has been designated and submitted and accepted by the state. Next, basketball has ended. But we have the 10 and under girls from Walton County won the district event, and they'll be advancing to Whitfield County March 8th and 9th to compete for the state championships. They're moving forward now with baseball, softball, soccer, and track having all started practices, and uniforms and schedules are all nearly complete. We do have a craft fair at Meridian Park on March 22nd. and the vendor list is completely full, so we'd like to invite everybody out for that event. In emergency management, we hosted the Hazard Mitigation Plan kickoff meeting, and we had a room full of first responders, volunteers, and some citizens who attended from across the county on March 18th. And our next meeting is coming up, and we'll make sure to get that out there for you and the public to attend if you would like to. In fire, this is one accomplishment that directly was tied to the gentleman that was recognized for retiring. We have taught 11 Narcan classes to date with 113 personnel participating, and there's new plans and protocols for Narcan to be available in county buildings for being administered if needed, and we're moving forward with additional trainings on that. We do have several of our vehicles that are out on repair, but we're hoping to get those back in, and some of those questions and issues may be brought up during your budget request. But also the fire marshal is working with the Red Cross to coordinate and deliver a community smoke alarm blitz. So that's another proactive measure that we're doing through the fire department. In Public Works, GDOT has begun widening Bold Springs Road. They did complete 2 cross drains on Thompson Mill. In-house flagger certification for employees, 74 employees went through that training. 2 employees have been promoted, and we're hiring 2 more equipment operators, and the 1 acre, or the 0.999 acre parking lot expansion project at West Walton Park has been completed. In elections, the Elections Office is planning for the upcoming June special election for Public Service Commissioner, and they're gearing up for that, as well as to continue working on the voter registration list. At Keep Walton Beautiful, they completed the sale of 29.66 tons of scrap metal and 42.59 tons of recycled cardboard this past month. EMS, we have had the addition of 1 paramedic, and Josh Mobley has completed the GEMSA leadership class in December. And Ronnie is doing working on a special project with Piedmont Walton. One of our hang-ups is that we're getting into a queuing line at the ER at the hospital, and he's working with the hospital to get a quicker turnaround so that we can drop that patient off and be out on our next call, so that we can avoid any delays because we're waiting on the emergency room to move through. I'd like to thank HR. They worked closely with Condrey and Associates, the finance director, and the new sheriff on our wage market study, and all of that has been implemented and ready for the next paycheck. Karen Cahill has been promoted to the Employee Health Clinic Manager, and Esmira has returned from her maternity leave with a new addition. And finally, the defined benefit plan has been successfully closed, and for all new hires, a new 401A plan has been successfully implemented. And HR has done quite a few new hire orientations because we were waiting to make sure we got everybody lined up and could be freed up to hire again as soon as we were able to. With all of that, we have an upcoming meeting with developers where we're going to be sharing with them our notice and intent to bring back a impact fee, revisit that with the commission. So we'll get that date out to you, but we want to go ahead and give them advance notice of that. The detention pond in subdivisions that are not being maintained, we met again today, discussed that, and we'll be moving forward with getting that ordinance adopted, but we're going to go ahead and start on our first neighborhood, start notifying people. The neighborhood needs to be notified to begin with, and those individuals that live within the neighborhood given the option to fix it before the county has to move in and fix it, because if we do it,
there'll be an additional administrative fee to offset the cost of the actual work that's done there. So we're going to do everything we can to get compliance before we move forward with that. But then, as per previous discussions, that'll require working with the county attorney and creating a special tax district with that subdivision that has the requirement of having the detention pond, as opposed to spreading the cost among all citizens. So it's really the user fee associated with choosing to live in a subdivision with a detention pond. Now, if the HOAs are maintaining and taking care of them, this new user fee will not apply. That's part of their obligation. We're only going after the ones that have failed to do so. We've got severe weather coming tonight, so please check on that. We're also going after a grant for citizen weather radio alerts. So we'll be monitoring that grant. And then Sunday, don't forget to set back your clocks. There's couple of pictures I want to show you. These pictures are associated with the groundbreaking at the Hard Labor Creek Water Treatment Plant. This is the site clearing with the silt fence and some of the tree save markers going up. This is its location there along the edge of the reservoir. And if in the very top corner there, you'll see that that's the intake apparatus that has already been previously installed in the lake. So everything will get connected to that to begin the pumping of the water over to the treatment plant. And then there'll be a series of booster pumps that pump the water back into the actual water system. So just wanted to share some of those. We now, we're moving quite along. They're making great strides at the jail construction site. We were just out, earlier on the Walnut Grove Park. They're doing the soil cement now, and they will be paving shortly. They have already installed trees inside the parking islands at the park, and they're getting ready to lay down the artificial turf in the softball fields. So it's coming along quite well, and we have an agenda item on it in just a bit. As far as for the shotgun update, because I know there's some people that have signed up to make some comments and different things like that. And I had a opportunity to have a discussion with a gentleman over the weekend that kind of brought back some things about people not knowing some stuff. So the shotgun program is a part of the Walton County 4-H Shooting Awareness, Fun, and Education, or the SAFE program, that's administered by Walton County and the state extension office. It involves archery between 4th grade and 12th grade, 5-meter BB between 4th grade and 8th grade, air rifle between 7th and 12th, and modified trap and skeet, and sporting clays between 7th and 12th on shotguns. And there's also a 22 rifle team. The 22 rifle is the highest caliber rifle that's actually being used out there on that. And where the rifle is being used, there is a dirt earthen berm. Another citizen forwarded us today a copy of the EPA recommendations for shooting sports areas, and that was one of the things we were already aware of, and that's one of the reasons that the earthen berm was used for shot containment in that area. That EPA document is the best management practices for lead and outdoor shooting ranges. It also goes on to mention BMPs, or best management practices. It cites that vegetative matter, organic surface cover, earthen backstops, and reducing the shotfall zone are all part of the BMPs recommended, and that's what have been implemented on this site. And we're also, there's some concern about the entrance that's being used being located between two houses. And earlier this week, Hank and David and I all walked the site, and we've located an entrance through Criswell Park
So as soon as we can work to get that installed, and I know the departments have already started communicating about that, as soon as we can get that installed, we'll not use the site between the two houses. We'll actually use that just for maintenance reasons, and that'll be all. Practice schedule. So all this information I just shared, what we're going to do is we're going to work to get that posted on the county website, as well as a copy of the practice schedule. But I did want to cover some of this. We're already through February, so in March, they're planning on practicing for a few hours in the afternoon on Sundays. In April, they're waiting to hear about having the Northeast District match. That'll either be on April 1st or the 3rd. And then they have a series of practices. April practices are on Sunday, May are on Sunday, and then you have a couple that are not on Sunday. And the reason that they're not on Sunday is that the team has to travel for the 4-H modified state competition over that weekend. So they're planning on training on Tuesday and Thursday of May 6th and 8th. And then there's a clay target team state practice that they'll need to do the same thing on May 15th and 20th. Other than that, in June, all the practice dates are on Sunday. And then they've got 2 other events scheduled. One is an end of the year event in July, first week of July. And then they're planning on the Walton County 4-H shotgun team hosting all the local first responders on 2 different dates to allow first responders to come out and actually shoot with the team. And that date has been determined, but it is anticipated to be on a Saturday. So I'll work with Ben. We'll post all this information on there. Hopefully that answered some of the questions, eliminated some of the concern about high caliber. It's not open to the public. This is guided by adults who are certified to do so. And the goal out there is no safety violations whatsoever, because if there are safety violations, then the shooter is removed from being able to shoot that day. So we're trying to work on that and mitigate. One of the other things that we wanted to let you know is that we have been in communication with the State Department of Natural Resources. And there are some potential options that may materialize once we have some additional discussions about a partnership between Walton County and the state DNR. That hasn't been finalized, and there's been no agreements or no specifics, but we're looking at a partnership between that agency that also promotes shooting sports and shooting safety. With that, I believe that covers everything I have for you tonight.
Okay, thank you, John. Are there any questions from the board?
John, quick question. And part of that partnership with the DNR, if that does work out, would that mean the potential relocation of where the range currently is?
Possibly, yes.
Okay.
All right, any other questions?
Thanks for the clarification on that.
All right. Now for the fun part of the meeting, planning and development.
The fun part. Okay, let's see. Okay, 5.1, this is case Z240059. This is a rezone 9 acres from O&I and R1 to B2 for office buildings with associated storage for commercial purposes and lease. The applicant owner is Fisco Limited. Property is located at 6285 Highway 20. This is in District 2. At the Planning Commission, there was some opposition. Their main concern was traffic, and the Planning Commission recommended approval as submitted.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open a public hearing on this application, this zoning request. Is the applicant here and would like to come up and tell the board what they're planning? Please come forward.
right, there we go. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Andrea Gray. This evening, I have the pleasure of representing FISCO Limited in its request to rezone 9 acres from OIR1 to B2 for a retail and office warehouse development. Here's a map of the property. Again, it's 9 acres. It's sandwiched in between what will be 2 roundabouts on Highway 20, one at Centerville Rosebud and one at Center Hill Church Road. My client purchased this property back in 1998, so he is a longtime Walton County property owner and taxpayer, and he has held this land as he's watched the surrounding area kind of transition to be more commercial, and that's why he is here before you today requesting a rezoning. Here's a little closer view of the property. You can see it's in red there. Again, it has the OI zoning. It's less than 500 feet from adjoining B2 zoning. This area, again, has transitioned over time. There's B3 zoning, which includes the Copart development in this area, and then more recent B2 zonings there at the intersection in anticipation of the roundabout coming in. This is the future land use map. It's shown in dark purple as the highway corridor area, which is in contemplation of a B2 zoning, appropriate for commercial, office, and industrial type development. And again, you can see it encompasses the area where the roundabout will be at the intersection there. Picture's worth 1,000 words, right? So sometimes when you hear office warehouse, you think, metal siding, you think self-storage. This is none of that. This is an upscale office warehouse development, no metal siding, no self-storage, no outside storage, no renting or owning the warehouse separate from the office. They are combined. We anticipate businesses that have inventory needs for storage, needs for office fronts, to be what will be attracted to this type of development. We'll also abide by all ordinance requirements, which important to this is that the lighting has to be downward facing, so we will, of course, comply with that. But again, this is an upscale version, maybe a little different than what you would think. Here are depictions of a representative retail development. Again, upscale from what you might think of a retail strip mall of sorts, but here we would be using stone brick exteriors, large windows, attractive variations in the roof heights there. And we really see this attracting development that would be serviceable to the surrounding areas, right? Maybe nail salons, restaurants, the types of things that people that live in this area would use, and this would be very convenient for them. Here's the site plan. You'll see starting at Highway 20, we've got the detention pond set in the front of the property because it dips down a little bit lower there, and so it works well in that location. Fronting on the road is the retail portion. It's about 12,000 square feet, which is broken into 10 units. Further back is the office warehouse component with 20 units, approximately 24,000 square feet. Just overall, you can see that we're developing really less than half of the property here. The dark green areas are existing mature woods, so large trees there. The light green area is more of a pasture area that will be left as open space. And in the bottom left-hand corner there, you can see that the septic disposal field is there at the bottom of the property. My client has made efforts to mitigate for impacts to adjoining property owners, first by limiting the development to be less than half of the property, so there's substantial green space. But then there are existing mature trees, but in doing a second look and going back out to the property and really analyzing how this could potentially impact the neighbors, while there are mature trees, it's not very dense. And so my client is going to plant additional evergreen plantings on that northern boundary where the development is closest to those neighbors to help screen that out more. And again, the layout there is pushing the development away from properties to the west and to the south, so more concentrated to the north. My client will also make efforts to make sure that there's no water runoff issues. The detention pond shown here at the front of the property is going to be designed and sized for a 100-year flood. And we'll also make sure that throughout the development, any of the impervious surfaces will be collecting and conveying the stormwater back towards that pond. And as always, we'll comply with the Georgia Stormwater Management Manual that will be enforced by Walton County. So key attributes to this project, again, it's consistent with the trend of development in this area and consistent with the future land use plan that's moving towards commercial. It will provide a needed service to residents in this area, convenient access to retail services and the office warehouse component. We are making efforts to screen and help protect the adjoining property owners, again, with the stormwater management and the additional evergreen plantings. And this is a quality development, as I showed you, again, pictures worth 1,000 words. It's definitely upscale from your typical office warehouse and your typical retail in this area. So with that, again, we request that you accept the Planning Commission's recommendation and rezone the 9 acres at 6285 Highway 20 Loganville to B2 for the office warehouse and retail development. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yes, just to clarify, on the associated storage for commercial use, you said definitely no outside storage.
Correct, no outside storage.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board at this time?
So how many tenants do you propose to be, estimate will be in this facility?
So we have 10 retail units, but you could potentially combine units, right? So it's a total of 12,000 square feet. And then the office warehouse, 20 units.
Okay.
Again, people could rent more than one, but I guess 20 as the max.
Okay.
And your client realizes when pictures are showed like this, we're going to hold the client.
I told him. He said,
no more of this showing something fancy and Bill.
yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you
Thank you.
for that. Is there anyone else here would like to speak in favor of this rezoning? Is there anyone here that's to speak in opposition? Please come forward and tell us your name, where you live.
My name is Tony Smith. I live at 781 Criswell Road. And we have talked about this before, and we talked about this earlier, about sediment ponds or detention ponds, that really the county should look at underground detention, which will solve both problem of work that has to be done later. It makes for a much safer. There is no open pond there, so every retail site, every place that you build has got a pond sitting out in the back of it. They've done a couple here in the city of Monroe, which I know that's got nothing to do with you guys, in town with a detention pond sitting beside the property. It looks like you either don't have enough money or it looks terrible. And the problem is you've got an open pond in the wintertime or in the summertime when, mosquitoes are out, such on and so forth. And one of them is actually next door to a medical center. Now, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I just think that the county should start to really seriously think about underground detention.
All right.
And I have no problem with this.
But this particular development, you have no problem with.
I have no problem with this. I just think, I keep trying to put this.
I'm kind of in agreement. We need to look at having that where it's feasible.
Right.
As part of the retention area.
Right.
And it does look better, but
Yeah,
it's not part of our code.
I understand. It's just something that I'm going to keep beating on, until we actually make some progress. Because the problem is, once you have a kid that falls in and a subdivision falls in that pond, then the county may or may not be held responsible to it. And I don't think you want to go down that road.
We would not be responsible for what's on private property.
It would have to be the homeowners association. Big
That's
problem.
why. That's why. they
Either
have
way.
Well,
Either way, you don't want kids falling in.
I appreciate it. And
all.
any questions from the board? Thank you. Is there anyone else here in opposition to this particular rezone? Please come forward, sir.
My name's Jeremy Hartzog, and my wife and I and my family, we live at 6314 Centerville Rosebud Road. It's at the top of that longest gray arrow there. It's on the north end. It's also on the lowest elevation. I'm not particularly opposed to what the owner is proposing here. I appreciate that he's tried to include us on the northern end of the boundary because our houses are pretty close to where he'll be building. My biggest issue, ever since about 2 years ago, he cleared the property of trees, and ever since then, every time it rains, I get a flood across the back of my property that comes off this property. And so I see a septic field disposal on the I guess that would be the southern end of the property on the back. And I don't know a good answer for this. There's people that know way more about this than I do. But I need something to stop the water from washing out the back of my property every time it rains. I don't know if that's a berm on that northern end,
The way that this is laid out, and the retention pond's up at the front of the property, correct?
Correct.
And everything off that site, those buildings and that parking lot should flow toward the road to that retention pond.
Right. But that
It may not be doing it.
the whole green space though, the pasture she referred to.
It comes to your property right now.
The slope travels towards that back corner on the upper part of that picture.
Okay.
And so I just ask that something's put into consideration to try to stop that. We built in '07 and never had any issues with water coming on the back of the property until 2022 when the land was cleared. And all those trees were taken out and all the vegetation was taken out. And he did put up silt fence, but the first rain, that just, both layers of silt fence completely flooded. It's an ongoing issue, and it's just something I'm dealing with, but if we're about to develop, now's the time to fix it. And I was once told every man's responsible for the runoff on his own property. So.
What was your address again?
6314 Centerville Rosebud Road.
Any questions from the board? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else here in opposition? Seeing none, I will give the applicant a chance to address the second opposing opinion.
Yes, sir. You don't want me to attempt to address your overall detention pond strategy. Yes, so I guess Mr. Smith's comment is related, somewhat unrelated to our project and more related to the county policy, so I'll leave that there. Mr. Herzog, appreciate your comments. I did talk to my client. I think this development will tremendously help any issues that you're currently having because we will be diverting the stormwater back up towards the road to be into the detention pond.
You'll change the existing elevation so that the water off the buildings and the parking lot and everything flows to the front.
Correct, yeah. So the sooner we get this developed, the better for you. But also happy to have our engineer go out and look at the property as it is now to better assess for you what's happening now while we're getting the development underway. With that, I'm happy to answer any other questions that this board may have.
Okay, any other questions from the board? So you'll look at addressing no runoff on this existing property to this gentleman here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion that we approve on the condition that everything is submitted, including the building design and landscape that we presented tonight. The additional evergreen plants that are along the north border be included in this also.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimous. Thank y'all.
Okay, 5.2, this is case Z24-0065, rezone 9.05 acres to B3 for a tree service and auto repair. The applicant and owner is Jose Alexander Lamas. The property is located on Highway 78. This is in District 5. There was no opposition at the Planning Commission, and they recommended approval as submitted. And I will put the site plan up there for you guys.
Okay, I'm going to open a public hearing on this application. Is the applicant or his representative here? Please come forward and tell us what you're wanting to do.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Tip Hoon. I'm an engineer consultant for Mr. Lemus, who is the owner of the property. We are requesting zoning to B3 in order to allow him to build his tree service building. The proposed building is approximately 4,500 square feet, and he also have a friend who is in the automotive repair, and so they are coming in together and building two buildings on this 9.05 acres tract. And we have consulted with Georgia DOT, Mr. Christopher Hash, and we have worked out the location of where the entrance needs to be. And they agree with our proposal. They do ask for some design requirement that we told them that we'll provide during the design process. So when we go through the review through DOT, we'll address the cross-section that they are asking for. But DOT has been had the cursory review for the projects, and they agree with our proposed location. We are proposing two buildings, 4,500 square feet each, mostly a small office in the front with some bays to repair his tree service vehicle as well as his friend automotive service. And we are proposing outside storage on the back side of each of the building, on the side of each of the building. The access to the storage area will be through the driveway around the front, and any storage area will be fenced per the B3 zoning requirement. We are honoring all transitional buffer, and with this being 9.05 acres, we'll have plenty of a buffer around. We'll provide, we'll leave most of the site natural, and we'll, as well as planting any additional trees that may be required. A open detention pond is being proposed. The reason being is the state of Georgia requires water quality on top of water detention. And so in order to address both, a detention pond address both water quality and stormwater detention requirement. Therefore, going underground for Walton County is not quite, the land is not quite expensive enough to justify for underground detention, as well as that water quality. You'd have to build a secondary pond, some sort of infiltration that will allow the water to be treated before the water can be seeped into the ground. And so we are proposing an above ground, but all fencing and protection requirement will be provided to make sure that no one will be in danger by falling in. The client, he currently have his business in Loganville off of Hoke O'Kelly. And he is wanting to expand, and he want to build this facility for himself over here in Walton County. And This project is right across from other B3 zoning, as well as there are other B2 zoning that Farm Bureau and other commercial building that's across from Highway 78, next to Troy Smith Road. So all of this request is very in line of what's currently there close by. And so we believe that this is, and one last thing is that even though this property is 9.05 acres, and it had approximately 1,900 linear feet of road frontage, but this is along a limited access, and so the only access that we can have is the exact location of where I'm showing it. And DOT will not allow any other driveway, so this is the only spot that they will allow a curb cut. And we believe that this is a project that in line with the surrounding, and we ask that the board consider approval of the project.
All right. Does the board have any direct questions? Now's the time we engineer. I noticed you designed it where the drive coming in, that's your only entrance. You're not giving much to access the other property from that drive.
Yes, sir. That's where the conversation with Mr. Christopher Hash. They said 25 feet. That's the only spot that you can come in.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board? Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else here who wants to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone here who wants to speak in opposition to this request? That's a first for tonight. Then I will close this public hearing and ask the board's decision.
I have a question about this. I just.
All right, I'll open back up the
No,
public.
it doesn't. It's just a question there, that amongst the board, like, I'm guessing that there's no tire storage allowed on site or like exterior. Because like looking at autos and different stuff, I'm just imagining a big pile of tires, and I'm guessing that they would put that in a dumpster or something or not.
Right, and any outside storage would have to be completely enclosed with a fence.
Okay. Okay.
All right, now I'll close the public hearing again and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion, we approve.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes unanimous.
Okay, 5.3 is case Z25-0001. This is rezone 2.22 acres from R1 to A with a conditional use for short-term rental, with a variance to waive ADA requirements for short-term rental and conditional use for an event facility. Applicant is Ben Myers. The owner is Table Ventures LLC. Property is located at 4850 Center Hill Church Road. This is in District 3. There was no opposition at the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the rezone to A and approval of the conditional use for short-term rental, waiving the ADA requirements, and also they approved the withdrawal of the request for an event facility.
So the event
Just-
facility's off, it's
Right.
just, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. I'll open the public hearing on this request. Is the applicant or his representative here to please come forward and tell us what you want to do? State your name and your address to begin with.
Hello, my name is Ben Myers. This is my wife, Kylie, and we own the property at 4850 Center Hill Church Road. And we are here to rezone to A with a conditional use for short-term rental. This is a historic home, so we ask that we can waive the ADA requirements, so we don't have to alter the historic home. And that's pretty much it.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the board?
What's the management plan? Do you plan on being on site or just renting the rooms, or how is that going to?
So on the property, there's actually 2 houses there, and we basically Airbnb and VRBO would, manage it. We live in Monroe, so we're actually over there all the time. We used to live at the property, but we would be managing it. I cut the grass, she cleans it.
You'll have a local contact.
Yeah, that's right.
To take care of stuff, yeah.
Yep, so we'll be managing it.
It's just old farmhouse that you're leasing out of short term.
It'll be a bed and breakfast without the breakfast.
Without the breakfast.
Breakfast.
I grew up in one of those. I wouldn't pay you to move back in one of them, but, all right. Any other questions from the board at this time? We can.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we have checked that, and we can waive that on a historic structure.
It's something that old, you can exempt it from it. All right, thank you all for now.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here want to speak in favor of this? Is there anyone here wants to speak in opposition to this? Amazing. All right, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve and to waive the ADD requirements.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
And the withdrawal of the event.
And the withdrawal of the,
And I'll still second.
Get it the way you want it and still second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Passes unanimous with the ones that's here. All right, you have before you the administrative consent agenda. Is there any questions on any of the items on the consent agenda? If not, I entertain a motion that they be approved.
I make a motion to approve.
We got a motion to approve the administrative consent agenda.
I'll second motion.
We got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Passes unanimous. Now, contracts, change proposals, Walnut Grove Park.
I'll take care of that. And there are representatives here. Jeff Prine's here, the project manager, and there's representatives from Weeks Robinson and Los Design if you have any questions. This is a combined change proposal. Unlike some of our other large projects, which have a substantial contingency fee, we chose to move forward without a contingency fee on this one, so we're bringing these forward to you as they occur, but they're in line with the ones that we're already doing on the jail and others, and keeping those within budget. This one is a rather large one, but it's the one that we've continued to update you about as we went. Number 18 are additional control joints that need to be installed, and Los and Weeks Robinson are working on that shared issue, but that's in the total amount of $4,435.38. The second one is the big one, which is the rock removal, and that ends up adding 34 days to the contract and comes in at a total of $783,273.60. We did meet out on site, and there is a game plan for the Weeks Robinson is bringing in rock crusher, and a lot of that rock will be used as building the roads and in other areas throughout the park. There's one temporary detention pond that will fill that in, so our goal there is to dispose of the crushed rock on site as opposed to having additional cost of hauling it off even further. Number 27, that one involves a roll-up door that needs to be switched out to a different model roll-up door. And that comes in at $4,694.04. That one will be marked as a reimbursable, but you have to approve it so that it can be done, and then we will work on the reimbursement for that. The second one is some additional rigid insulation in conditioned space that was caught and designated. Jeff is currently working with planning on if there's going to be any reduction, but our worst case scenario there is $9,371.21, and again, that's a reimbursable item. Then there was a change that we needed to make in from PVC to ductile iron in the sewer pipe due to some location issues and installation. That comes in at $13,774.59. And your third one, which is a softball backstop redesign, that changes the design of that backstop, and it results in a $10,000 deduction. So the total of what you would be approving is $791,183. Well, actually, let me back up. The total amount that you would be approving is $815,548.82. You back out the reimbursables of $14,365.25, and then the 10 on the change of that design, and the actual number will end up being $791,183.57. But tonight, before we are able to do the reimbursement and for the credit, you'll be approving a total of $815,548.82 minus the $10,000, so right at $805,000 in change orders on the project. And with the majority of that coming in as rock.
To summarize it, it's predominantly the rock that we've encountered.
Hey, but we don't want to haul any of that crushed rock off.
No.
No, we're not.
Stockpile it.
No, we've got a place, we met out there this week, we've got a place to either stockpile it and or the goal is to use 100% of what we're going to crush.
They're going to crush it, Tim, and start putting it where the second phase parking lots will go. So it'll be part of the base that we won't have to buy next time. We're not hauling any of it off site. But it's a lot of rock.
Yeah. So these are lumped together since it's all in the same project, and we're requesting a approval of all change orders listed, and then we'll work out the details on the backside.
I got a question.
Yes.
So even with $800,000 added, it's still within budget, is what you're telling me?
This additional rock removal is what pushed it over budget.
So we'll be over budget? So
Yes,
it's not by $800,000 or by how much?
Right now, there were two items that I remember that were significant. One is the rock. The other is the, when we were originally thinking that we could go with a recommendation of a pre-engineered building, and that pre-engineered building had to, because of the layout of where the beams were and the windows and everything, we ended up going back to more of a block and stick-built building. So those two adds up to just a little bit over $1 million.
Okay, seeing as there's a lot of rock in the Loganville area, is there any way to mitigate this next time so we don't have this? I mean, we know it's rock there.
We drilled, we had ground radar, and we located a lot of it and actually moved some of the design on lines, but we hit rock where sewer lines were going that didn't show up on the ground radar, and sewer has to follow the contour.
Right.
There was rock under the ball fields that wasn't projected.
The one other one I think of is when we hit water, and that's something we didn't anticipate. And when they were able to find the source of the water, it was basically pumping like a mountain stream out there. So that's one of the ones that we had to go back in and pipe the water away from the ball fields. But to answer your question in more detail, yes, I think that moving forward, that we don't take such a low valuation on the rock removal, especially anywhere near this or any other area on that side of the county, and we make sure that we increase that rock allowance.
They're hitting the same type rock on Center Hill, replacing those water lines, upgrading the water lines. That was grossly misunderbid. Of course, that was a contract bid, so that contractor's eating that. But it is what it is. We got to deal with it. We're in the project now. Any other questions? Entertain a motion on this change proposal.
We're too far in to turn, so I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose?
Abstain.
Kirkland is abstaining.
No, that's Mr.
That was Lee.
Mr. Bradford.
That was Lee.
I think.
Oh,
One abstention.
my hearing aids aren't working good. No. Kirkland was yes, right?
We don't look that much alike.
Bradford abstained. Okay. Still passes. All right. Hank, you got the proposals on the new roofs for the 6 fire stations?
Yes, sir. This would be to provide new roofings on stations 4, 8, 9, 10, 13, and 14. And we advertised this, Rod put the RFP out. We got 9 respondents. We looked through those, and we think we've selected the company that's going to provide the best value for Walton County. And we're suggesting that Tiber Group LLC be awarded this in the amount of $260,000 even.
260,000 each?
Even.
Even?
Yeah, just 260.
For 6 fire stations, 260?
They sharpened their pencils on this one.
Yeah, it's a local company, and
I'm gonna make a motion, we approve it before they change their mind.
That is a local company going to be doing that work, so they don't have travel, they don't have a lot of the other factors in.
I think they wanted our work, really.
We got a first, we got a second, who's second? Bo did, all right, we got a first, a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimous, thank you. Okay, we're up to public comment. We have several speakers tonight, and just would like to make a couple comments here. We value your opinion in public comment and appreciative to those of you who took time to attend today. The rules of decorum will be followed. Each speaker must state their name and address. Each speaker has 3 minutes, and there will be no yielding of time. This is not a question and answer session, and no response from the BOC is required. We will take your comments into consideration and may reach out to you individually to discuss them further. The public's asked to refrain from making comments when not at the microphone, such as calling out, booing, clapping, using foul language, or causing other verbal or physical disturbances during the meeting. Our goal is to ensure that the meeting proceeds in a professional manner and that those who are speaking can be heard. Total time for comments will be limited to approximately 20 minutes. And I think we have 7 people, and if you're speaking on the same matter, personal request from me for the board, if you cover an issue, let's don't repeat the same issues over and over, but if you want to, that's fine. And we'll start with Mr. Alan Carey.
Nice to actually meet you.
Yeah, my name's Alan Terry, and I live at 1500 Overlook Pass Road. and I'm speaking in regards to the gun range, specifically to the noise. And I don't really think anybody's going to be too opposed to the 4-H program, but the location is an issue. My house is exactly 1 mile as the crow flies, and you sit out on my back deck on a Sunday afternoon, and it really does sound like a war. I don't think, I can only imagine what it would be like for those that live closer closer to the gun range, or even if you're at the park for a ball game with that much gun activity going on. I don't think anybody on the council would like to have a gun range located right next to their neighborhood and try to enjoy your Sunday afternoon as well. That area of Walton County between Monroe and Social Circle is probably one of the fastest growing areas of the county for new neighborhoods. There's new neighborhoods popping up all around there. So it's going to continue to be an issue. So having a gun range there really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I personally love to hunt. I've got property behind my house, and I don't use a gun. I use only bow, just in consideration for others, just because of the noise, and that's just one person. It appears that I've been told that this is possibly a temporary situation. I don't know if it's temporary or not. If it is temporary, what I would encourage is that the council put an end date on it so that there's a pending event, knowing that, hey, we got to make a decision by such and such date, because if no date is put out there, it's not temporary, it's permanent. It's permanent until it's not. So it's permanent until it's actually moved. So my encouragement is to create a date, determine a date in which something will be decided, so that the kids can have their program and move on, and everybody can be happy, and those that are neighbors can also be happy as well. So that is my concern, is the noise. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Jonathan Ordway.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. I'm Jonathan Ordway. I live at 1027 Griswold Road. We have about 300 acres between my family, right across the street from where the shotgun range is going in. And I'd like to make a point. I support 4-H Shotgun Club. Absolutely. My kids want to join. They want to be a part of it. Problem is the sound. I asked the neighbors, we had a petition signed, and 95% of everybody asked about, do you want to have a shotgun range in your backyard? Guess what? They said, So in that respect, it sounds like you guys have everything pretty well handled. I feel like I'm kind of repetitive up here to a certain degree. But, you know, putting a shotgun range right by a baseball field and right in the back of people's backyard is probably not the best spot. I think we got plenty of better places, and it sounds like you guys are already on top of it, looking for better locations. So that I applaud y'all. I really do appreciate it. The second concern I have, and I'm really happy that you brought it up, the EPA best lead practices for shotgun ranges. I did have a lot of concern about that because I have cattle right downstream from where y'all are shooting at. And so, you know, from the research that I did, when you put the lead from the shotgun shotfall onto the ground, on acidic soil, it actually oxidizes. When it oxidizes, it becomes water soluble. So where they're shooting at, it looks like it's on a slope. It looks like when it rains, it's gonna take that oxidized lead and possibly put it into the creek. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But as a farmer and somebody who has cattle right downstream, I do have a concern for that. So hopefully you guys will take that into consideration. I'd like to second what Alan Terry said about having some kind of commitment from you guys, at least that you guys have a plan within a certain amount of time to hopefully find a better spot to put it. I do have connections over at DNR that I told John about. If you guys need help over there, I'd love to be able to assist you guys. And if there's anything I could do to help 4-H, I'm all ears. But I just would like it for you guys to be able to find maybe a better spot a little bit farther out into a rural area that would be a little bit better for the baseball players in our neighborhood. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. I guess it's your wife signed up to speak too? Come on, you can outdo him.
I've been on the chaos. The babysitter fell through, so we've been in the hallway. My family owns property with cows on Criswell. I'm concerned that this shooting range project has not been handled in a neighborly manner. There was no prior notice of its establishment, and I believe a discussion could have addressed several critical issues. Our cows drink from the creeks, and our children play in the pond nearby. I'm worried about the environmental impact of shooting into acidic soil, which can break down lead and contaminate waterways during rainfall. I request written guarantees regarding regular water testing and cleanup efforts to mitigate these risks. Additionally, I need written confirmation of when the range will be used. While I understand you've stated it'll only operate a few hours on Sundays, I'm concerned this could expand in the future. I ask for a written notice of practices and tournament schedules with clear limits to prevent overuse. Finally, something must be done about the noise, especially for our neighbors who have the range directly in their backyard. This is unfair to them. I urge you to implement safety and noise mitigation measures to address these concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jeff Reagan.
Hello, I'm Jeff Reagan, 3105 Madison Drive, and I'm located directly across from the entrance of Criswell Park. And everybody before me has stated they're concerned about the noise. And last Sunday, this is from my backyard. I hope you can hear that. And then my other concern was that you stated that originally that the range would only be used on Sundays. And then earlier, now we're already having expanded days and times. The noise from this is just not acceptable. It's not fair to us. The noise and the gun range itself being next or inside of a baseball park. There's the baseball park, there's a walking park, there's the horse rink, pickleball. It's just not a very good place for it. And Sunday afternoons when I'm standing out in my front yard, I can barely even talk to anyone because it sounds like a war zone. And during a tournament, each shooter is going to be given 100 rounds to shoot. And if you multiply that by 10, 20, 30, you're going to be hearing, it's going to be like downtown Beirut. And that is just not fair to us. And when and if I do decide to sell my house, then I will have to try to schedule times when people can and cannot come look at my house, and that's not fair to potential buyers to not know what's going to be happening on Sundays, and now it's even being expanded to further days. So having it where it's located now is just not, it just doesn't make any sense, and it's not fair to any of us in that area. And again, like everyone else before me has spoke against it, none of you guys would want this in your backyard. And we're directly across from the park and the main road in my subdivision. The sound just funnels straight down through the entrance of the subdivision, even on the side roads. It's just, and here it is from the front yard. And you probably can't see it, but I'm the third house on the right of my subdivision. And this is just practice. This isn't even a tournament. So a tournament, it would be much more gunfighting. And it's just not fair to us at all. So finding it in a more suitable place further out, away from subdivisions and recreation centers, I think would be a really good idea. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Buddy Granger.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Buddy Granger. I live at 820 Criswell Road Southeast. The shooting range is approximately, if I look at Google Maps, it's probably less than a quarter of a mile from my house behind me. And like everyone else has said, should we decide to sell, should we decide to do a real estate deal on our homes, the likelihood of us being able to do it will be greatly hindered. The second thing is the noise is unbearable sometimes. It's just constant, and it goes on and on and on, and especially if they're going to consider having tournaments and shoots there with multiple contestants. Let me say this up front. The shooting sports are near and dear to my heart. I love them. And I think there's a time and there's a place for them. But I don't think the place should be in close proximity to a residential area. And that's basically all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Lassiter.
Yes, my name is Randall Lassiter. We live at 1164 Criswell Road, which unfortunately means this property currently being used for the shooting range is accessed via an easement through our driveway. Let me first say this is nothing against 4-H. These kids are guns. I grew up in Monroe as in 4-H as a kid myself. We have lived on Criswell Road since '93, where we raised our 3 children and now have 3 grandchildren. I have always supported the county, city, and anyone providing extracurricular activities for kids. We lived here when Criswell Park was built and have never complained about the traffic lights or noise. When the Grubbs told me they were selling their property to the county for a park, my first thought was this is the perfect place for the property, for the county to extend the walking trails they already have behind us throughout this property, with it having the pond, a nice creek with a neat waterfall on it. I thought now lots of kids will be able to enjoy playing on the same property my kids grew up playing on. My biggest complaint with this shooting range is the amount of shooters, the excessive amount of rounds being shot and being done every Sunday. This beautiful piece of property could be put to a better use for all Walton County residents to use. Shortly after the county purchases this property, John stopped by our house and told my wife and I that the property would be used for a park and green space. He also told us they planned to put an entrance to the park through the property 2 doors down from us, which was also purchased from the Grubbs, that backs up to this landlocked property. There was no mention of a shooting range or there being 100 or more cars going in and out our driveway every Sunday afternoon at that time, or mentioned at any time since. We have not consulted an attorney about this easement situation yet and hope we don't have to. Considering this property is only about 1,500 yards outside the city limits of Monroe, surely there's another location in Walton County where this activity could take place that would not affect so many homeowners. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Philip Frank. Oh, he pulled his. We are trying to find a permanent place. This shotgun team practiced at Walnut Grove for the last 8, 9, 10 years with no complaints, houses all around it. When we started the park, they had to go. And the only property we had to see if it was suitable is for them to move there. And we're diligently trying to find a permanent place for them. But I'm not going to dismantle the team for this season. They need a place to practice this season. And this board's committed to work on it and try to find a permanent place. We did buy that place for more ball fields and walking trails to enhance Criswell. But it was handy at the time, and the team had to go, and that's where they ended up. And they've spent a lot of time over there trying to get ready for this season. It's hard jiggling both ways, pleasing all these kids and the community. And Walton County, unfortunately, I've talked to several private property owners, and they would love for it to be, but they're not going to take on the liability if there's an accident would happen, period. And we got some great property owners that would let the kids come practice one-on-one, but they're not letting the Walton County team come on their property. So we are and have been talking with DNR, and we're looking for alternatives. There are several conservation tracts in Walton County that have been put in a conservancy that can never be built on. We're exploring those and reaching out on those, but it takes time, people. And this team's got to have a place to practice. If you could tolerate us this year, I'll give my personal word, we'll try to find them a better, more suitable place. But from my standpoint, my back's up against the wall right now. Competition starts here just about any time. They got 79 kids shooting. And just in shotgun, I don't know how many BB has, and archery, and it's taken on like wildfire. So we'll continue to look and discuss options and try to we'll definitely keep you posted as schedules. I think.
We'll post all that on.
Guarantee on that. And try to give us a little room to work if you can. We'd appreciate it. We do need to retire to executive session.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. Related to the 4-H, what is the season? You mentioned the season. What is the season for this program? When does the season end?
So what I have, let me see if I make sure I find it. So they started mostly, I think it was February. They run through May and June are the state competitions. June has practice dates, and then they've got, I think, 2 days scheduled in July, and then it ends.
Okay.
It's generally after the 4th of July.
Okay. So maybe that's a date we can at least set as I don't say end of the temporary home, but at least have some answers by that time.
Yeah, the only thing with the date is I understand the request for the date. I think it's something we need to really work towards, but that date is at the end of the season, July-ish. And as we move forward, I don't think that they start back up until January again. So our biggest thing is finding that alternative location.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Does that answer questions on that?
It does.
We need to have a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss real estate transaction.
So moved.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Likewise.
Katie, you weren't
Entertain a motion to come out executive session and go back into regular session.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Well, you need to make a motion, make a statement. No decision was made.
Vote on what?
No decisions were made. No decisions were made in executive session.
No decision was made in executive session. And then,
Now motion to approve, to adjourn.
Second.
Third.
All right.